Welcome to the Bison Brothers Basketball Podcast, your number one home for all things Bison basketball. My name is Chip Washington, your self-appointed basketball Bison fanatic.
Hey, family, it's your boy B Smooth, Brian Foston. I'm so excited because we're talking about basketball, we're talking about Howard, both things we love to death. And you know what? It's conference season now, baby. It's all about the chip right now. So I'm excited to be here, excited to keep this show going, man. We're about 10 episodes in, bro. Had a really good non-conference schedule, so now it's time to see what we're working with, man. So, Chip, I'm excited, brother. This has been fun.
Hey, no doubt. And as you know, we always want to let the people know to keep supporting this championship culture. Keep supporting the Dream Factory. You could do that in so many ways. You could donate to Howard's Name, Image, and Likeness Collective, the Mecca Society. You can go to themeccasociety.org and donate there. You can go to hubison.com, donate to the athletic department there. And we always want to encourage you guys to go to the games when the teams are in your city, and you're going to be in for a treat. And as always, don't forget to share this podcast, like the podcast, subscribe to the podcast. You can hear us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So get your comments in. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you want to hear. And we're just going to keep supporting this Dream Factory championship culture, and we going to get it.
I love it. You always get me hyped up, brother. And the fact that not only can I find us on all these different streaming platforms, we love the fact that folks are starting to find us on Instagram, Bison Brothers Basketball. Follow us there for some of the behind the scenes look. We usually try to put a few funny outtakes from this show. I wish I could tell you it's perfect every time, but you know us. We like to flow and see what happens. So don't blame our head, blame our heart, because we think we're actually I did that wrong. See, I did it wrong. Blame my head, not my heart.
There you go.
Now you know. But the idea is that we're trying to continue to grow with this thing. I know our love of Howard continues to allow us just to explore all the ways we can just turn from being just good alumni to being fans. And that's what this is all about. So today, excited because we're getting into the conference season. We wrapped up our last episode with a nice preview of conference play. I think, later in the show, we'll be able to play back some of the folks maybe in disbelief that we may be stretching a little bit to think that our men and women can take home the championship this year. Our women in particular have some stiff competition, and we'll talk about that. But, based on what we're seeing, I think we still got a shot to come out number one. But we're just trying to learn from what we see. That's all we're doing right now. So today, we'll follow a similar format. We'll do a little bit of recap. We only have one game this week, so we're going to catch up on the opening game. I know the weather has been crazy across the country, but the snow and ice kind of kept us from playing the second game. But we're excited about the upcoming weekend, so we'll do our recaps. We'll do some underreactions and get ready for the weekend. But ultimately, we're just here to have some fun and make sure you guys know that it's time to really pay attention. This is where we start positioning for the tournament at the end of the season, so we can see what games we'll need to play to try to get back to the big dance.
No doubt.
Can we make it 3 years in a row for the guys? Can we make it first time in a few years for the ladies? Only time will tell. You about ready to get this show going, man?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
right.
sir.
Cool.
And look, and speaking of weather, I guess we'll give a little shout out to E-Wash, for all the E-Wash fans to know why he's not here, because we're going to have inclement weather here in Atlanta. And so he's getting his house and household prepared. So all you E-Wash, Better for Basketball fans, he will be back. So
he will be back. I'm hoping he buys enough milk and eggs and bread so he can have some French toast through the storm, because that's really what it's all about right now.
Hey. Yes, sir.
You always talk about Chicago. I didn't think you were going to talk about the weather because he's now in Atlanta. So, as long as he's home, he's all right. He'll be all right. But we're wishing everybody who's out in this inclement weather be safe. Make sure you're okay. There's a lot going on. And another shout out to our fans that are out in LA, with all the fires and stuff. Just know that we continue to pray for your safety, and just make sure you're staying out of harm's way. We know you guys are making things happen, and we just hope that if you get a chance to hear us, this takes your mind off of it for a few minutes while you're enjoying what's going on around DC and the Burr. So with that, what we'll do is we'll do what we always do, just play a little bit of music, get us in the mood, and we'll come back and talk about the women and the men in their first game against Delaware State. So let's get this thing. That's your boy B Smooth. I'm here with Chip Washington. We're getting into the next segment of our show here, Bison Brothers Basketball. You know what I'm excited about, Chip, is that we're still about a week or so away from all the students coming back to campus, which means we may have to watch at least one more game or two without our band in the stands. I know it's almost time for them to get back to school. I'm hoping everybody had a wonderful break, but I can promise you, watching our games with the band versus without, that's another whole experience. And I know I am going to let you know I'm still on track to make it out to the Morehouse game about a week from Monday during Martin Luther King Jr. weekend. So I'm excited to be in the building. But today we're going to jump in and talk about our very first conference game. We got a chance to meet up with Del State, men and women. I will remind you that Delaware State, the last time we saw them in basketball, it was playing for the MEAC championship. And that was our chance to make it into the tournament. So it was a big deal. They were coming to town to see if they could right the wrong they felt from losing in the championship game. So Chip, let's talk about the ladies first, because I think we'll talk about what happened with the guys. But let's talk about the ladies. What did you see when the ladies lined up?
So I saw that it was kind of a low scoring game. I mean, 74-66. But it was balanced. And, I liked that, I think, with your formula, we had at least 4 of the ladies in double figures. That's so right. Nice That's balance. Right. And Delaware State was a tough out. It was a tough out. They had, I think her name was Kiera McElriff. Yeah. 30. She put up 31 on us. So
31 solid.
And yeah, and it was. I mean, she was looking like Blake Harper out there. I mean, she was just lighting us up. But I thought we had a balanced attack. I don't know if they were just waiting for conference play, but we had nice showing from Vanessa Blake, from Niall Miller, from Z Payne. We were looking nice out there, and if we can keep that up on the inside, because I'm gonna continue to tout we got size and we got skill in size. So I like that we put that together in terms of the game plan and really just imposed our will on the inside. I'm looking at the rebounds here. We had as a team 38 rebounds. It's just a quality effort. And like I said, with our size, we should always be kind of have an advantage on the board, advantage with inside shots, especially offensive rebounds. So, I've continued to tout the horn that every time I watch us, if we're missing shots, to me, it's okay as long as we got our bigs under the rim, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to get the board and go right back up. So,
I think you definitely hit it on the head, man. I know the formula, as we figure that out watching the non-conference schedule, when they score more than 1 or 2 people are scoring in double digits, when we are keeping the turnovers low, keeping the rebounds high. I think you're going to tell us a little bit about proximity to the basket and shot selection. It's definitely makes us very formidable. I do want to shout out, and the Hornets did have another young lady, Mahogany Cottingham, that did 16 points and 5 assists. So they, we had that kind of weird opening where we jumped out to a lead, and then they brought it back, and then we had to kind of fight towards the end, which in most cases would make you nervous. But I think for us, it's all those close games we were playing earlier in the season seemed like we kicked into that overdrive and said, can we just make sure we close out the game? So a lot of those double digit scores were in the, rounding out the end of the game for us. So it was good to see the balanced scoring and not having to rely on one or two shooters. So definitely a great opening win. I think that balanced attack was what made me excited to not hope that, although Destiny could put up more than 30 points a game, as she's shown, to not have to do that is actually making me very excited about the season.
Yeah. And I really want to shout out Now Miller, because I don't, for those who, if you didn't see the game, you look at a stat line, you say, 8 points, 2 blocks, 1 steal, but it was so timely, her defense. She had her hand in so many passing lanes and disrupting things. She really, I don't know, if she had got Defensive Player of the Week, it would have been well worth it, because she had a solid game. Her energy was really, really high. And yeah, if she can keep that up, and I know she can, because I've seen her, I've been saying it like all season, her defense, her length, and her speed. She surprised me. It might have been around game 3 or 4 in the non-conference when I saw her sticking guards on the perimeter. And so if she can do that and be a force defensively down low, she unsung hero. It's not all about the scoring. So I say keep your eye on Now Miller. Her activity on defense, I think, is going to be pivotal as we keep moving through conference play. So shout out to Now Miller.
Shout out, man. You hit the nail on the head. The stat that we don't talk about enough is how many points we generate off of turnovers. And I think this game was indicative of what we were starting to learn early in the season, is when we are jumping passing lanes and, kind of making sure people are having a hard time getting into their offense. I think this time around we had 23 points. We scored 23 points off turnovers, which means, that's almost a third of our points coming from that defense you're talking about. So I think the formula is working. I think that just this the opening game. So I don't want to have recency bias, but I do think that based on what we saw earlier in the season and what we are walking into now, I do think there's a few teams that are going to test our ability to hold that formula, but I think Delaware State, they had a lot of scrappy play from their guards, but I don't think they have the size to stay with us. So your point of making sure we play to our strengths is huge. This is really huge. And a shout out to Ty Grace, friend of the program. I know we're looking forward to getting her on here to talk about her philosophies, but I do think that having the ability to go big or small or what have you based on who you're faced, and it's really cool to see how she could actually pull that into the early part of the conference play. So excited about it, bro. I think that if nothing else, I think we were able to see, at least I was able to see how all of the things we saw in like pockets and like little pressure points throughout the non-conference schedule, you can see it all come together. So it's a long conference season. We got to go see these guys again. So we got to go up to Delaware this next time. They may not be as friendly. But they were able to come in and compete because it was a close game. The score indicates that it took us a little bit to close it out. So I'm glad. It was actually cool to see. Yeah. So with that, man, I know we only had one game this week with each of the folks. So let's switch gears real quick and talk about the guys, because I know I want to come back to the ladies in the next segment, because I think you have some special. You're gonna have a look in the camera moment for a few folks, and I want to make sure we set them up for that. But so let's switch gears here. So, if you basically, I guess for the folks listening in too, if you were able to watch it, you'll notice that unlike some of the other opening conference play, usually it's about 30, 40 minutes between the men and women playing, because we all play on the same days now. But because Howard was being featured on not just ESPN Plus, shout out to the network of Home of Sports, they actually featured us on the ESPNU channel, which was got a little bit broader distribution. And so our women wrapped up a game probably about 7 o'clock or so, just under 7. And then 8 p.m. is when the guys tipped off. So we had like a little bit of time to kind of react to the win. But then the guys showed up. And I mean, I think, the whole adage, we showed up and showed out. I think we lived up to that. What do you think, Chip?
Yeah. So, from the last episode, you remember, I don't know if it was, I was really, really worried about the injuries.
Yes.
And I was, with Joshua Strong going down, I was like, I don't know. I don't even know, first of all, who we going to have ready for the game.
Right. Right.
And I'm going to continue, just like how Ty Gray shut me up early
Yeah.
on with whatever worries I had.
Yes.
Coach Blakeney shut
Blakeney.
me up with his game plan and how he used the fellas in this game. Like I was beyond impressed with the small small stat, the players that we had. But I think when he pulled the zone out and kind of mixed it up, zone and man, and switched it out, I was like, brilliant, because you got to be able to save those legs. Because when you look at the minutes, we had, it was, 36, 36, 39, 36, and 29. That's a lot of minutes.
That's a lot of minutes.
A lot of minutes. But I think Coach Blakeney's, like I said, bringing that zone out to help save those legs, I think it was a masterpiece. And, of course, Cameron Shockley continuing to be hot from the outside. I'm gonna just continue to be impressed with his outside shooting. I think he's gonna keep that up. So it was a pleasure to see that. And just the guys dug deep, and just like we always say, it's a championship caliber players.
Yeah.
And they just showed out, man. It was a balanced effort. Even with, Blake being in foul trouble. And this was the quietest 34 points I've ever seen from Blake. Like, when I looked at the stat line later, I was like, 30, like, where did that happen? But just like all great players, getting to the line is what, he was 11-11 from the free throw line. So when you got double digits baked into your scoring average from the free throw line, you're going to always be, real high in the scoring. And so he just continues to impress me. It was a very balanced game from a limited number of players. And now look, I don't know how long we can keep this up, but I don't know when people are coming back. So, but let's
not let comparison steal our joy.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I was just saying, in the words of Ewash, let's not let this steal our joy. Let's stay on the positive here. So to your point, we scored 100 points with a limited available team, and we don't score 100 points often. We've scored 100 points twice this season, and the people who scored 100 points the first time weren't all on the team playing at full health this time. And so, to your point around Coach KB, Kenny Blakeney, I think the ability for this team, which by all accounts, most of the folks that are really playing now outside of Dockery, and maybe Stewart have really, they haven't played on this particular part of the season before. This is conference play for everybody, kind of brand new. So Blake going 10 for 12 from the field and 11-11 from the field. I think what was even cooler was that we went perfect from the free throw line. We didn't miss a free throw, which again, we talked about formulas. When we shoot well, we were shooting from the 3-point line well. We were playing great defense. I think I won't say great. Let me take that back. That's a bit of hyperbole, because we did give up 94 points. So it wasn't like we were blowing anybody out here. But I think to your point, we were playing a conservative defensive strategy to save our legs, so we wouldn't be, we'd run out at the end. I think we talked about it early in the season. We started seeing we play a solid half against a solid team, or we say we play a strong 35 minutes, but those last 3 or 4 minutes would be either we'd run out of energy, or we'd lose our focus for a minute, or we'd have a bunch of turnovers because we were just tired. But I think that's to your point, when we saw the defensive kind of adjustments so that people were fresh at the end. Impressive. And I know, it meant a lot for us to win our first game of the season, but I think to see how we won it, I think I'm learning more. I don't know if I'm at the same level of fanhood that you are with OKK, but I will tell you that, when he does show up, it's pretty impressive. The guy that I'm keeping my eye on is Jaren Johnson. I think he's one that on paper he seems like he would be just a dominant person that you'd have to worry about, but sometimes he doesn't always seem like he knows that. But when he does, add Dockery and you got 4 or 5 guys that are running up and down, and you got to pick which one you're going to take, because they're either shooting 3 on you or they're taking it to the rack. So the question I did have for you, though, because you're always paying attention to the possibilities, is how do you see our favorite big man, Taiwo, really making his presence felt in conference play?
Hey, let me tell you something. So I think Taiwo's breakout game was against UNC Wilmington.
Ooh,
when we were shorthanded, and he stepped up big during that game. Because to me, this was the exact same scenario when Delaware State was making a run and coming back. Blake was out of the game. He had 4 fouls, so thankfully he didn't foul out. But he was out of the game, and Taiwo made at least 2 pivotal plays that were very similar to the UNCW. So I think he got unlocked at the UNCW game, and he showed exactly that. It was like muscle memory for this Delaware State game. So it could be a breakout. Now we're not looking for Taiwo to score 30, grab 50 rebounds, this, that, and the other. But he's been in Coach Blakeney's system long enough to know where to be, because he made some great passes, with backdoor cuts, that Princeton offense. And I felt like he learned during the game, because he went up for one shot. It was kind of timid. And then the next time that he got the opportunity to go to the rack, he dunked the ball. Like, okay, nah, I'm not going up soft this time. So just to be in game and to recognize that, I see big things for Taiwo. Like I said, it in his role, maximizing his abilities. I think we're going to be able to count on Taiwo from here on out, like I said, for timely passes in the post with all of the movement, and being aggressive enough when he has a lane to the basket to take it strong and to use his advantage. I see great things for Taiwo in that role.
Okay. So I love it, brother. You've invested in Taiwo for a couple of years now, and you're starting to see him blossom. I have to listen, knowing that you tend to see a lot more of the future than at least possibilities. And I'll agree that when he does show up the way he does, and you realize how big he is, it's awesome to see him play to his size. And again, maybe that's the blessing, because with all of our injuries, especially with some of our bigs like Dom Campbell and others, him getting this extra rep time is actually really going to help us, I think, overall, because you actually got to plan for him a little bit. He may not be a guy in there a long time, but when he's in there, he's a factor. He's a factor.
Yeah.
So it's cool, man. I was excited. What you got there? You had something else?
No, I was trying to see how many minutes he had. So he had 11 minutes.
Yep.
Versus, and you look at all our big guys. Hema only had 4 minutes, and Miles Stewart had 9 minutes. So Taiwo got the most minutes.
He did.
He did out of that crew for our big men. So, and I think that's he's getting that trust from Coach Blakeney. Like, you keep making good decisions when you're in the game, you probably gonna keep staying in the game. So
I love it. And I think for us, the blessing, again, like using blessing because it feel blessed that we have players that are able to show up the way they are. And I think even the 9 or 11 minutes, we didn't have that time for him in the past, because he just was, hey, for her in foul trouble, or when we were down a couple of guys. But I have to believe that this is going to help us with, as our team is getting healthy, as whoever can be healthy, we're building some real bench strength. So I'm excited to see all our bigs, continue to kind of contribute. And, looking ahead at some of the teams we have to face, there's a lot of really strong guard play. And so I know that the guards we were going against in Delaware State was no different. There are 3 guards or so that scored over 20 points apiece. They were taking us to the hole and getting us in some foul trouble. So we're going to have folks that can kind of back us up and protect the rim. So I think we're going to see a lot of value from our guys that are 6, 8, 9 and above. They should be able to, at least keep us from having to ticky tack our file our way through games, because that's going to be our tough part. That's going to be a tough part, is staying in front of these little guys who are shooting all over the place.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, to your point on Jaren Johnson, this is a look in the camera moment. Again, I don't want him doing more than he needs to, but I need Jaren Johnson to realize that if we got the advantage on a rebound and a break, or even a secondary break, dude, you are 6'5". If you got your shoulder pass, some little dude, like, keep going to the basket. Like, too many times I've seen him, and I don't know if, like I say, I don't know if he's kind of making sure he's just staying in KB's system, but it's like, you're 6'5". If you got your shoulder pass and we got the advantage, say a 3-on-2 or 4-on-3, keep going to the basket. Like, you're 6'5", you got hops, go. Like, I see him pull it out too much for my liking. And so, like I said, only in those situations. I'm not saying go outside of the offense and start doing this, that, and the other, but when he's got the advantage, he needs to keep going to the rack instead of, and it's a good thing to a certain degree in terms of him pulling that back out, make sure, you make the right play and get everybody involved. But I'm like, hey man, you're 6'5", and you got the advantage on a lot of folks. So keep going to the rack. Keep going to the rack, Jaron.
Keep going to the rack, Jaron.
To the rack. Yeah.
So before we go to our next segment here, I do want to ask you just, what are you seeing with Anwar Gill? Because he's on the fringe for me right now, where it's almost like he's holding back, and I know he can do more. And sometimes, he's leading us in our assists a lot of times, so he's getting the ball out there. But I've yet to see anybody who could really stop him when we want to go to the basket. He seems like he could take it to the basket anytime he wants. So I'm wondering, are you seeing why are you seeing some hesitancy on him just, taking people to town? You know what I mean?
I can't put my finger on it. The only thing I can think is maybe coach wants him doing something else, and so he's trying to, because he's new to the team, new to the system. So I think he's still trying to figure out, kind of what Coach Blakeney kind of wants him to do. But that's the only explanation I have as to why he's not pressing his advantage. Can you remember, I think it was maybe the second or the third game of the season in the non-conference when I had seen him work in the post. And I was like, yes, like you can do that.
What's going on, right?
But we haven't seen it that much since. So I think it's a matter of him just trying to make sure he's running what Coach Blakeney wants him to run, and just kind of processing that while he's in the game. So that's my only explanation as to why he's not pressing it, because he's a strong guard, he's a big guard, he's got experience. So, yeah, that's kind of my take.
Well, like I said, I'm keeping an eye on that, because for me, and that may be one of my budding either over or under reactions, but I do think that in conference play, as we've talked about a few times, and even getting ready for potential run in March Madness, the point guard play is kind of the pivotal role, right? We want to know that can the guard really handle that pressure, or really dictate pace, and something along the lines of a double-double, for my friend Anwar would be the target. If he's doubling on assists and points, or assist and rebounds, or something, like, because he's big enough to play on it. If he's doing double work, I think he may be the key to how we reintroduce ourselves to the championship run. Just saying.
Yeah.
This is perfect, man. Well, I'm excited, bro. I think having 2 wins, I don't know about you, but that game ended later than my bedtime, I think, but I actually stayed up a little later so I could just enjoy the fact that we were in the conference play. So it's super exciting. Glad to show up on national TV that way. So we were the champs, and we were able to show up that way. So real quick, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and talk about over-under reactions, and then get us set up for the next game here. So stay tuned.
Yes.
Bison Brothers Basketball. Oh, it's the groove. I can already see the band just moving, and cheerleaders, pom-poms going, the Bison Nets doing the dance, the chair dance, the ultimate chair dances, and I can just see the fans already just kind of lining up because this is the fun time of the season. Welcome back. It's your boy B Smooth with Chip Washington, Bison Brothers Basketball. We're into our first episode of the conference schedule. We just did a quick wrap up of opening weekend, which was really fun to see two W's, one for the women, one for the men. So this comes to our favorite point of the show here. We want to spend some time. What we like to do is over and under reactions, and we'll do those, and then we'll kind of wrap up with just a preview of what's coming up next, which is another conference matchup, pretty good one, Beltway matchup with our friends up in Baltimore and Morgan State. So I want to do that. So let's get it in, man. You have a couple of things you wanted to point out today, and maybe look in the camera moments. Chip, I'm excited about this segment. So take it away, my friend. Take it away.
All right. So this is my overreaction.
Okay.
Right. As I was watching the game, and we were interacting with a lot of fans on Facebook, and I remember telling folks, I said, anybody other than Sanaya King or Destiny Howe that takes a shot outside of 8 feet of the rim, they're getting tased. We need to tase them because we were missing way too many shots outside the rim. I mean, outside the paint. And I was just like, we were killing it. I was like, it was a shot would go up, air ball, I was like, taser, gotta go. That was my overreaction.
That's right.
I was frustrated at all of the shots that we were missing outside. And like I continue to beat the drum, we got this inside advantage. Z-Pain doing it. I was like, keep going inside. That was and so to back up my overreaction, can you pull up the chart? Can you pull up the shot chart?
A31.
A31. So to let the people know, as you're looking at the screen, the blue are the made shots. The clear boxes are the missed shots. Now, everybody out there, you might not be able to see, but the only blue dots, the only blue we have for outside of the paint with shots was Sanaya King and Destiny Howe. All of those blue dots on the inside, it was so many jersey numbers, and that's got to be within 3 or 4 or 5 feet of the basket. We were killing them. We were killing them inside the paint, and I believe that's where our advantage is. So the overreaction, like I said, while I was watching, I was like, nobody but Destiny and Sanaya King need to take a jump shot outside the paint.
You were
clearly
that was an overreaction, and
it was
the sounds you made were overreaction. So I know for sure. I was nervous for everybody who was near the water at that point.
Right, because clearly Tiana Walker and Kanaya Creek can shoot the rock. So that's why it was an overreaction. I was frustrated at them missing it. Like I said, you look at the shot chart, all of the shots that they made were inside the paint. And so I was like, boom, that's what we need to keep doing. So my overreaction was don't take shots. Nobody but Sanaya King and Destiny Howe needs to take a shot outside of the paint. That was my overreaction. So
I got it, brother. That was awesome, and I like the visuals. You're gonna start to raise the game up here, so we're gonna have to start adding visuals. So if you're watching on our YouTube channel, our show there, or you're even catching it on Spotify, the video copy there, make sure you tune in, leave a comment. If you'd like to see some more graphics, let us know. Otherwise, it'll be like radio. You'll have to just imagine all of the empty boxes. There were a lot of empty boxes out there, and so. I love it. My complimentary overreaction is the fact that I do believe that we do have a true National Player of the Year candidate in Blake Harper. I started off the season saying he should be the Rookie of the Year every week, 8 weeks in a row. It doesn't seem that impressive. It seems like Captain Obvious, but the way this young man is playing and the way he's playing with poise, I have to keep reminding myself he's a freshman, and we don't hear a lot about the freshmen these days because if they're really, really good in some of the programs, they're already talking about them going to the pros, and you don't get a chance to enjoy them playing here. But 6'8", averaging almost 20 points a game, and literally, no matter who shows up across him, he's ready to play every game. I don't know the last time we had a National Player of the Year prospect coming out of Howard, but that's my overreaction. Is that I think we're seeing one that's in strong consideration, if not in the top 4 or 5, be considered newcomer of the year.
Mm-hmm.
That's my overreaction. The compliment.
Hey, remember you thought Rookie of the Week or Rookie of the Year was going to be an overreaction, and he's like overreact this. So
that's right. I'll see you, and I'll raise you one. I'll raise you one.
and just a real quick to give Blake Harper just a little bit more. Flowers. He plays the game right. Right. So even though he's dominating, scoring 30, this, that, and the other, he's still making the right plays, the right passes. He's unselfish. So I just want to continue to give him his flowers. Shout out to his high school coach, Coach Turner. Did a great job with him. Hopefully we can get him on the show. Soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. He's already said he's in. We're going to get in and talk about just what he saw, because to see this transformation coming, it's awesome to see how it's starting to blossom. So that's my overreaction going into conference play. I was wondering how he would show up once we got into like the opponents we're going to see more than once over the next few months. So he's starting off with a bang. So, whatever you saw during non-conference schedule, he's the real deal. He's the real deal. Yeah. So I love it. So let's talk underreaction a little bit, and then we'll get into the next game here. What do you have from an underreaction for me?
So my underreactions is back on the women's game. Okay. And so, like I said, talking my own self off the ledge.
Please.
Tiana Walker was, I believe, she was preseason. I think she was second team, and she was, was she Rookie of the Year last year?
She was.
So clearly, she has game, and Kanaya Creek is a solid player. I think the underreaction is that I'm sure they're continuing to work on their shot in practice. Just keep putting shots up, and I think we're going to be all right, because they're too good of players to kind of consistently not have their outside shot falling. So I think we're just working out maybe a little rust, and so actually my underreaction is I believe that they're going to keep working it out in practice, keep putting up shots, and we're going to see that work pay off in the games to come.
So. I love that. Yeah, I'll just top. Oh, go ahead. What you got for me?
I still might tase him.
Oh, at least. When we host our first, hopefully, of a couple of live watch parties, I hope everybody tunes in. You'll get to hear him real time, because he can't control himself. The tase sounds are amazing. I thought he actually had a real taser going over there when we were watching the game. I said, "Hey man, turn that off before you hurt yourself." But we want people to play the right way and play to your strengths, right? Play to your strengths. So speaking of playing to your strengths, I know for me the underreaction I led to it in the second segment of the show here just a minute ago, but I do think that I'm looking for the gradual progression of Anwar Gill to put his imprint on the game in a way where it's going to make everybody even better than they are today, because I do believe we're gonna have a different nucleus of a team that's going to take us pretty far this year if everybody continues to show up, like as you said, Jaron and even Taewoo and the big guys. The common denominator is I would love to see how we start to get more of a double average from our point guard and Anwar, and some of that keeps him out of foul trouble. He gets in a little foul trouble sometimes, just trying to kind of run with folks. So we're getting ready to get into the scrappy part of the season where a lot of the teams will face, like South Carolina State and Norfolk State. They have folks that are going to push you, and you're going to wind up catching some fouls early. So he has to maintain some poise. But I do think that if he continues to maybe, if I see the numbers rise towards doubles, I have a hard time seeing us, we have a way to make sure it makes it hard for people to take the crown from us as champs. So that's my underreaction is I'm not seeing it yet, but I know it's there. So I'm patiently waiting. And this is where we should start to see that emerge. And, with that Princeton offense is the main way we run things. Your point guard play is everything, because now if people have to worry about what you might do, those back cuts are going to be more open, and we're going to see some more dunks and some more layups, because people are like, I can't see what's coming at me. And hopefully we won't have to tase anybody. No doubt. So this is great, man. I think the our next games are coming up. And we got 2 or 3 in a row here, but the very next one is upcoming weekend here against Morgan State. So that'll be fun to see how we continue to play through that. And weather is still kind of an issue, I know. So we'll keep an eye out on what's going on from a weather standpoint, because some of the weather kept us from playing last week, and I don't think it's played this week, but there may be some other teams that are a little south of DC that might be impacted by the weather coming this weekend. So we'll keep an eye out for it. But we're excited. It's another televised game. It'll be on ESPN Plus, both games. So traditional timelines. So it'll be good.
I feel like, even with the kind of the depleted squad that we have, we match up well with Morgan State and Coppin State. Like I said, won't be walkovers, but I think even with the current squad that we have, it'll be we'll be well equipped to compete in those games. So agree.
It's I think for us it's the how we start, because if we establish that we're moving and hitting some open shots early, I think our defense tends to respond to how well we're shooting early, and we just need to stay vigilant, because once we start getting in a little bit of foul trouble, we start playing, we open up some lanes for people to get to the basket. So watching the opening games, I know that everybody wants to bring their best shot. So I expect our friends from Baltimore, shout out to Morgan State and Coppin State, I expect them to bring the noise. And I think there's a game midweek next week too, where another Maryland team is going to make their way through. So we're going to see a lot of Maryland over the next week. And I usually like to see them with crabs and maybe some other things to hang out with, but I don't know. I don't know. I may be tired of Maryland by the time we get done.
So I was going to say, and pretty much the same thing for the ladies, but the only potential is Coppin State. They got a young lady, I think her name is Lawrence is her last name. She's kind of a people mover. She's got skills. And like I said, not to jump too far ahead, but it kind of reminds me of some of the Norfolk State players in terms of, they're not necessarily tall, but they're really, really thick and can move people around. And so Lawrence, when you watch, you see for that Coppin State game, Lawrence is she's a people mover, and she's got skills. So they're gonna have to contend with that. But I think they can handle both Morgan State and Coppin State without too much trouble.
Yeah, I mean, you said it before. If our balance attack comes in, I'm actually confident that the game will be close. We still have the same formula. If we got 4 people in double figures, preferably 2 bigs, and maybe Sanaya and Destiny giving some love outside. So you got to pick your struggle. If we don't fall in love with the 3, right, the Taze moments, we can kind of keep it going here. And again, we score a lot off turnover. So I think that's where the game will be met. How we play in the middle of the court is going to be big. So I agree with you. Watching the opening games, I know you did your homework and got a chance to watch as many of the games as possible. That's part of the fun part here, is that we're watching some of the other teams. So again, as fans of basketball, we invite you to join us as we watch not only our own team in Howard, we watch all the teams we're going to play as well. So a lot of what we talk about is based on just, hey, we've seen some of the strength of these other teams, and the common denominator is most of them have some size, not necessarily in height, but they definitely have some body, and they like to use it, which is really impressive, because sometimes you don't see people use their size appropriately. But there's going to be some matchups, and it's how we show up. That's really the big deal. So I'm excited, man. Like I said, we got a couple of conference matchups coming up here. I think that, based on what we've seen so far, there's no reason for me to worry about where we should finish based on how we're working so far. But I did want to leave you some room here before we get into our close. You did have some people that looked at you sideways from it'd be your own family, right? Your own family, your own fans. What are you talking about?
It'd be your own people. So I think it was episode 9 where we did the conference preview.
That's right.
And I got a lot of pushback on Howard beating Norfolk State on the ladies' side. Yeah. I mean, they were like, Norfolk beat Auburn. They beat 2 SEC teams. They're ranked number 8 in the mid-major polls. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, have you seen our girls?
Right.
That's all I'm saying. They got to deal with us
Hello.
What they gonna do about Z Payne in the paint?
I
What they
love
gonna
that.
do when
Z-Pain.
Vanessa
Z-Pain.
Blake is putting her back to the basket, going up with layups? What they gonna do with Niall Miller stealing the ball? This, that. Hey, Howard is going to win the conference and the tourney with the ladies. Boom. I'm saying it. We got the skill, we got the depth, we got the talent. It ain't crazy, y'all. It ain't crazy. They were like,
it's conference play. It's conference play. I think people, I think it was shocking. And shout out to Norfolk State for putting together a really strong campaign. And every time, it's one of the things where we play a non-conference play, we want every HBCU to play well. And so whenever we see, we see a win, we take that we all take that and celebrate. But once we get to conference play, we can be, play fight in the street like cousins, but we gonna be playing. And any given night, once you step inside the court, if you're not bringing your A game, anything can happen. So
yes,
I actually know I have that one, on my list because I do want to see strength on strength. They have a really solid point guard that I think will give Sanaya some run because their point guard is projected to be the player of the year in the conference. So we got some talent. And so between the people down low and our point guard play, I think Destiny might be the difference maker because she can shoot better than anybody in the conference. So it's on. If we bring our strengths, I promise you, I'm gonna put my money on Bison all the time because we got all phases of the game. We got all phases. So we'll keep our eye out. I think that be your own people. Your own people don't even believe, but that's what we're here for. Isn't that why we got Bison Brothers Basketball Podcast? We know that sometimes people don't know it's okay to be a full-time fan, not a fair weather fan. So we're gonna make some real fans out here. So with that, Chip, I love how we kind of bring that energy. It's conference season. We shout out to E-Watch, making sure everybody's all settled in for the storms that are coming. But here's my favorite part of the show, man. Let's close it out, man. Let's close it out.
As always, with all of this energy, we want y'all to take that energy, keep supporting the basketball programs, keep supporting the championship culture. That's the women's program, the Dream Factory. That's the men's program. You can do that by going to themeccasociety.org. That is Howard's name, image, and likeness collective. You support the players directly. You can go to hubison.com, donate to the athletic department. Keep supporting, keep going to the games, keep telling everybody about this podcast. What other school has a fan podcast for their basketball programs? What HBCU? The Bison Brothers Basketball Podcast. So subscribe to the podcast, like the podcast, share the podcast, comment, tell us what you want to hear, and keep supporting this university and this athletic program. And as always, we're going to close this out. You know how we do. HU.
You know.